The world is witnessing a quiet revolution in how nations organize their economies. No longer content to operate as isolated markets or passive participants in Western-dominated trade systems, countries across the global south are forming powerful regional alliances that could redefine 21st-century commerce. Three of the most significant blocs, South America's MERCOSUR, the Gulf's GCC, and Africa's AfCFTA, each tell a story of ambition, internal struggle, and the relentless pursuit of economic sovereignty in an increasingly fractured world. In South America, MERCOSUR represents both the promise and peril of regional integration. Formed in 1991 by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, this trading bloc once stood as the world's fourth-largest economic alliance, with dreams of rivaling the European Union in scale and influence. Yet decades later, those ambitions remain unfulfilled. Political instability, protectionist policies, and bitter internal rivalries have repeatedly undermined the group's potential. The relationship between Brazil and Argentina, the bloc's two largest economies, has been particularly volatile, marked by frequent trade disputes over automobile imports and agricultural tariffs. Venezuela's dramatic suspension in 2017 over democratic backsliding further weakened the alliance. Perhaps most telling is the 25-year stalemate over a proposed trade deal with the European Union, held up by environmental concerns and internal disagreements. Now, as Brazil pushes for more flexible trade rules that could dilute the bloc's unity, MERCOSUR faces an existential choice: adapt or risk becoming irrelevant in a world where economic might increasingly comes from collective bargaining power. Halfway across the world, the Gulf Cooperation Council presents a different model of regional partnership, one built on oil wealth and shared security concerns. Since its founding in 1981, the GCC, comprising Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain, has served as both an economic alliance and a strategic bulwark against Iranian influence. But recent years have exposed deep fractures beneath the surface of Gulf unity. The 2017 to 2021 blockade of Qatar by Saudi Arabia and the UAE revealed how quickly energy partnerships can collapse over geopolitical disagreements. Even today, tensions persist as member states increasingly pursue competing visions for the post-oil era. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 diversification plan directly competes with the UAE's rapid development of Dubai as a financial hub and Abu Dhabi's aggressive investments in artificial intelligence. These rivalries extend to energy policy itself, where the UAE has openly challenged Saudi Arabia's leadership in OPEC+ production decisions. The GCC remains a formidable economic and military alliance on paper, but its future cohesion is far from guaranteed as each member state races to secure its own position in a changing global economy. Perhaps the most ambitious, and precarious, regional experiment is unfolding across Africa. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, launched in 2021, represents nothing less than an attempt to rewrite the economic destiny of an entire continent. Encompassing 54 nations and 1.3 billion people, AfCFTA is the largest free trade zone in the world by number of participating countries. Its goal, to increase intra-African trade from just 18% to 50% by 2030, could potentially lift 30 million people from poverty and finally allow Africa to negotiate with the world on its own terms. But the challenges are staggering. Poor infrastructure, including dilapidated road networks and unreliable power grids, makes cross-border commerce difficult. The absence of a continental banking system means businesses must navigate 42 different currencies. Even political commitment varies, with economic heavyweight Nigeria remaining hesitant about key tariff reductions. Yet despite these obstacles, AfCFTA represents Africa's best chance to break free from its historical role as a supplier of raw materials to more developed economies. If successful, it could transform the continent from a collection of fragmented markets into a unified economic force capable of shaping global trade rules rather than simply following them. These three blocs, MERCOSUR, GCC, and AfCFTA, reflect a broader shift in how nations are responding to an era of geopolitical uncertainty. As great power competition between the US and China disrupts long-standing trade relationships, regional alliances offer middle powers a way to maintain economic sovereignty and negotiate from positions of collective strength. But each bloc faces its own version of the same fundamental challenge, balancing national interests against the greater good of regional cooperation. The coming decade will test whether these alliances can overcome their internal divisions to become true counterweights in the global economy, or whether they will succumb to the same forces of nationalism and protectionism they were designed to transcend. One thing is certain, in the new world of trade and commerce, there is strength in numbers, and those who stand together will fare far better than those who go it alone.